prominent lawyer and who is also a professor, Madhuku, says July 31 sent a clear message to Mnangagwa, no to 2030 Cabo 3 and Constitutional Amendment Act number 3. Kusangana kwa taita zvakare pana pachannel yanyu yeMagaba News patinobata nawo dzinenge dzichiitika nharaunda nemunyika yedu yeZimbabwe, tichiitikana pane vachangosvika. Ndiwo mukana wekubaya button rakanzi subscribe nekutena notification bell kusvika patinoposta nawo idzi unova uri wekutanga kusangana nenews dzatinenge taisa. Zuva ranhasi tauya takabata mashoko ari kubva kuna Professor Madhuku, vanova vauya nechiitiko vachitaura pamusoro pechiitiko chakaitika musi wa31 July 2026, apo vachiti zvakasenda a clear message to ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa, vachiti ivo a peaceful message yakaenda kuregime yeZANU-PF, vachiti vakazvinzwa kuti ruzhinji harisi kuda 2030 nekuda kwekuti mutown mamune low number yevanhu vakaenda ende iyo regime yakasenda mapurisa mumastreet kuti vanhu vasazoite a peaceful protest anonzwa. Zvaita kuti Professor Madhuku vataure zvizhinji maererano patsamba yavabudisa muri Zimbabwe yamuri kuona iripo pascreen. So according to Professor Madhuku, vari kuzivisa vachiti message yakaenda straight kuZANU-PF ende yakazvinzwa kuti vanhu havasi kuzvida pamusoro peCAB 3 ende veruzhinji vobvunzo vachiti zvichange zvichizoita sei, pachange pane a next option here. So Professor Madhuku vareminder vachiti ivo tine legal battle in the cause and peaceful political action ende manje tinenge tagunzwa zvizhinji zvichibuda ende tinowina, ndo mashoko ava Professor Madhuku. So according to news, Professor Madhuku has declared that the July 31 2026 action was a successful in sending what he described as a clear political message against the government 2030 agenda and Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, and also to refer as Constitutional Amendment Act number 3. In a statement published on August 1, Madhuku said that although July 31 was an initiative led by other groups, which his movement supported, he believed the action demonstrated opposition to the constitutional change in the mind of many Zimbabweans. Madhuku's message comes after a high contest period in Zimbabwe political, with the government and opposition figures taking sharply different positions over the constitutional amendment and the proposed changes to the country's electoral and presidential timetable. According to Madhuku, the central message of July 31 action was simply no to the 2030 Cabo 3 and Constitutional Amendment Act number 3 agenda. He added that the significance of the action should not be measured only by what happened on the street, but also by what he described as the message that was communicated politically. Madhuku further claimed that the government response demonstrated that authorities understood the message being put forward by those opposed to the constitutional changes. In his statement, he made a serious allegation about the government response, claiming that authorities were prepared to use force and state resources to suppress opposition to the agenda. The Madhuku's allegation and should be understood that his political assessment of his situation. The professor also alleged that citizens and activists faced the possibility of arrest and other forms of intimidation. However, these claims are part of his statement. Despite what he described as pressure from the authority, Madhuku said those opposing to the constitutional amendment had not been discouraged. He stated that the movement remains determined and that July 31 should not be viewed as the end of the campaign. Instead, Madhuku announced that his group intended to organize its own peaceful political action in the future. The objective, according to his statement, will remain the same: opposition what he called the 2030 and CAB 3 and the CAA 3 agenda. This is an important part of Madhuku's latest message because he is effectively signaling that the political debates around the constitutional amendment is far from over. He also reminds supporters that their strategy has too many components. The first is legal route through the courts. The second is what he described as peaceful political action. Madhuku says political strategy will continue at the same time. On the legal front, he indicated that court battles relating to the constitutional changes are expected to continue, saying that the courts would hear their argument. On the political front, he said peaceful action would also continue. This means Madhuku appears to presenting the campaign as a combination of constitutional litigation and peaceful political mobilization rather than rely on only one approach. The professor ended his statement with the confident predicting about the outcome of the campaign. He said that Constitutional Amendment Act No. 3 will be reversed and concluded with the words "we will win." That statement is significant because it shows that Madhuku is not presenting July 31 as an isolated event. Instead, he portraying it as one stage in a much larger political and legal campaign. The controversy around the Constitutional Amendment Act No. 3 has become one of the major political issues in Zimbabwe, particularly because of its implication for the country's political timetable and the proposed 2030 transition. Supporters of the amendment have presented their own argument for the changes, while opponents have raised concern about the constitutional principles. Madhuku has placed himself firmly in the camp opposing the amendment. His latest statement, therefore, signals that the disagreement is likely to continue beyond July 31. For ordinary Zimbabweans, the key issue on going forward will be how this political dispute develops through the courts and through peaceful political activities. Madhuku is now calling for a continued peaceful action, while simultaneously pursuing legal challenges. It is also important for citizens and political groups to ensure that any future demonstration or political activities remain peaceful and with the law. For now, Madhuku's message is clear. He believes July 31 communicated strong opposition to the 2030 agenda, and he says the campaign will continue. He intends to pursue both courts battles and peaceful political action. Will the legal challenges succeed, whether the government respond to the opposition concern, whether the future peaceful political action are organized, will determine the next chapter of this unfolding debate. But Madhuku are making it clear that from his perspective, the campaign is not over. His final message to supporters is one of determination. CAB 3 will be challenged. Peaceful political action will continue, and in his words, will win. Mara Zimbabwe ndo mashoko ari kubva kuna Professor Madhuku. So tiri kuona kuti Professor Madhuku ari kuti musati kuzvakaitika musi wa31 July ndo kupera kwazvo. Yanga iri message yaenda kuZANU PF. Ende tikatarisisa mashoko iyayo ndipo pakataurwa kunzi hakuna, ndipo panoudzwa ZANU PF kunzi hakuna mbavha inouya ichiridza bhero ichiti ndakuda kuba. Asi zvakaitika apa ndezvekuti vakauya vanhu vachikuridzirai bhero kuti tiri kuuya, ende mukabudisa vese vari mumusha menyu, ende vakakwaniswa kuverengwa kunzi ava ndivanani vamunhawo, ava ndivanani vari kuti 2030 ndivanani. Ende veruzhinji vakazoona vachiona vanhu vaipa mapress conference vachiti ivo pamusoro pe2030 vachiti hatisi kubvumira vanhu kuti vaite peaceful protest. So ndozvikunzi nevanhu vese vakazoonekwa kunzi uyu ndiye ari kusapota CAB 3, uyu ndiye ari kusapota CAB 3. So ndodzi dzimwe nhau dzataya tikabata pano tiri kuzivisai mashoko ava Professor Madhuku. Ndidzo nhau dzatinadzo pana pachannel yenyu paMagaba News.